welcome to another episode of Will's Review. I'm your host, Will D, and today we actually have a lot of bad New York sports news, but some funny stuff along the way too. So we're going to start off with a little bit of sports. We had the first Knicks preseason game yesterday. They lost to the Rockets 130 to 103. D Rose was actually present for this one. We weren't sure if he was going to play or not because of all his court stuff happening out in California, but he was able to play, had 5 assists, but not too much else, as the Knicks lost, pretty much summing up what's going to be the rest of their season, unfortunately. What can I say? I've been a Knicks fan since Lord knows how long, and I've stuck through them through the worst of times, and let's just say my hopes for this season aren't as high as everyone else's. I think I might be rooting for an 8th seed, but I even doubt that's possible. A lot of broken players, not enough time to really gel. I don't think everybody's going to be there for more than a year, so we'll see. I wasn't expecting them to win anything before like 2020 anyway, so just being realistic. Other than that, we have the Giants losing, thus the hat again. The Jets losing, which, the Jets, what do you expect? And, I'm getting the cue to go on break, so I'm going to go take a quick break and come back and figure out some of this audio issues. All right.
There's another world inside of me that you may never see. There's secrets in this life that I can't hide. Somewhere in this darkness, there's a light that I can't find. Far away, yeah. Or maybe I'm just blind. Maybe I'm just blind. So hold me when I'm here, love me when I.
Alright, so we're gonna finish up with some more sports. We actually have, like I said, 2 really funny pieces of sports news coming on. One last regular sports news. The Mets are playing the Giants for the wild card slot. Better luck than the Yankees had, but we'll see what happens because San Francisco has been a pretty strong team the last few years. The Mets looked good last season. Hopefully they do pretty good. I just don't want them to win the World Series because as a Yankee fan, I will never hear the end of this. But now to the fun stuff. So, one piece of news that I found really funny that I heard earlier today is that Ric Flair supposedly is saying, he slept with Halle Berry in 1997. So Ric Flair is, 60s, 70s now, right? And, he seems like he went through a stroke and he can barely move and whatever. But we're talking 1997. So a good 20 years ago, he's in his late 50s, older gentleman. Hallie's still, just divorced her husband. And she cold-heartedly denies this. But Ric Flair was on a rant talking about, a whole bunch of different celebrities that he had messed with. I think he officially called them writers, which I thought was hilarious. And says that he slept with Halle Berry. Now, a lot of people are saying they don't believe it. But we're talking about Ric Flair, Mr. Woo himself. He's a 50-year-old dude, still looking all right at the time, still messing around with WWE and TNA and stuff at the time, and I can see him possibly bumping into Halle Berry at a certain event. Maybe a little Bill Cosby came on him and dropped something in the drink, but who knows? I'm just thinking that maybe this would be something that we might want to have TMZ look into right now because they seem to find out everything. But just something I thought would humor you guys. And another thing for the guys out there, there's a new sports bar opening this Friday called Hoops across from MSG. And what makes this special is that it is literally going to be a sports bar and a strip club put together. So, I know, like I said, this is for the guys. If you want to still go to the strip club, but there's a big game on, you can go to Hoops and do your thing. It's supposed to be the first topless sports bar in NYC, supposedly. It's had a big hit on its soft opening last week. I don't know. Maybe it just the whole theme of it will fade out in about a month or so. But might be something people are into, so I figured I'd throw you that. And I think I'm going to go on commercial break one more time just so that we can make sure everything's working around the audio. But we'll be back after a short break. So, Danny, just take us out.
Hello, my name is Araya.
And I am Selena.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher.
And when I grow up, I want to be a nurse.
Did you know that individuals who drive while sending or reading text messages are 23% more likely to be involved in a car crash more than other drivers?
Also, a car crash is typical, happens within the average of 3 seconds after a driver is distracted.
The United States Department of Transportation notes that cell phones are involved in 1.6 million auto crashes in a year.
That causes 500,000 injuries and takes 6,000 lives.
On February 19, 2011, Ashley Jones Davis was killed in a horrific car accident. She was texting and driving when she left the center lane and drove head into a box truck. But she stopped short, writing in her final message, "I can't discuss this right now. Facebooking and driving is not safe." Because of this, a new law was made.
We have families that will miss us.
We also have futures.
There is no text that cannot wait until later.
So let's take this pledge and say no to texting and driving.
Together we can spread the word
and save a life. Don't text and drive.
Alright, so seems like we're good for the time being. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the world. First thing I wanted to do was a special shut the hell up, because all I'm hearing about right now is this Kim Kardashian got robbed in France thing. She was held at gunpoint, thrown in a tub, all this nonsense, da-da-da. And I want to tell everyone, I want to tell Kim K, shut the hell up. I mean, frankly, I don't care. You are so rich that they took $10 million in jewelry, you're still not broke. You are so rich, you could afford 24-hour security, but didn't. Look, it may not have been the best experience. I'm not trying to take away from how bad it was, but it was what it was, and you know what? You're kind of blamed for it, because you flaunt all your crap around, you let everybody know you have all this money, and you don't take care of yourself properly. So please, everyone, Kim K, shut the hell up. Please. She got robbed, get over it. At least this time, someone actually got robbed, and we're not having the Rio incident all over again. But I want to start with that because I've just been hearing about this crap too much the last few days. Anywho, other than that, we had the vice presidential debate the other night, and that actually turned out to be probably more informative than the actual presidential debate. It's too bad we only get one of them, but it was 10 times more boring. Like, sure, if you really want to know what's going on, like, look, either way, this debate only showed that whoever becomes president, if they, for whatever reason, are not able to fulfill the duty, probably because they were assassinated, and the VP has to step up, well then, it looks like we'll have a competent person to some extent either way. So that was reassuring and all, but it was just so much more boring. Like, I can't wait until Hillary and Trump get into it again, because they don't talk about the issues. They just like to throw shots at each other, and it's really entertaining, like a drama in the street. So that was good, but not really good. A couple of interesting things are actually coming out. So October 3rd is National Mean Girls Day. And not Mean Girls as in we like mean people, but Mean Girls is the Lindsay Lohan movie that came out a long time ago. Such a popular movie, it actually became a national day. And on National Mean Girls Day this year, Lindsay Lohan somehow lost the tip of her finger trying to anchoring a boat, which I don't know why Lindsay Lohan thought that she could anchor a boat, but hey, it made for some funny pictures on Instagram and whatnot, and at least she was a good sport about losing the tip of her finger. And it also was announced that there will be a new Mean Girls play actually coming to Washington, D.C. I think that's fall 2017. So if you're a really big Mean Girls fan, you'll have something to look forward to and something to watch come fall 2017. But it's going to be a play in DC. I don't know too much about it. It's just revealed that that's going to happen on like the official Mean Girls page. Another thing that's actually turning into a play, well, not a play, but a live action adaptation is going to be The Lion King. There's a lot of talk right now, a lot of stuff in the works to make Lion King a live action adaptation. Now, with all this stuff that Disney's doing now, you have the different princess movies like Snow White and the Huntsman and things like that. I think that this could be absolutely amazing. But I have to add a big if they do something like this with a black casting. And the reason why I say that is that it's The Lion King, right? One of Disney's, if not Disney's best movie. I don't care what anyone, like, for me, it's the best movie, but, you know, you have to compare it with some of the Mickey Mouse shorts and compare it with some of the other, like, princess movies if we're talking numbers, ratings, and fan appeal. But definitely, I mean, music, everything, best movie in my book. And you're going to set this movie in Africa, which I know all the voice actors weren't black people, but it's a live action, so let's make this real. Unless we're going to be doing a live action with CGI at the same time, and you're going to have Simba as a real lion, like, which would be dope because Jungle Book was amazing. But let's do this right. You're in the heart of Africa, right? Let's do this with some African people. Maybe, you know, I don't know if you want to make them tribesmen. I don't know if you want to make it modern, like a, spin on Romeo and Juliet kind of thing that Leonardo and them did. But I think that's just something that if you're going to do it, let's just do this right. There's a lot of movies coming out. We just had Luke Cage come out with a majority, if not, well, yeah, there's a majority, all black cast. And it was really good. Luke Cage was really good, and I say that as someone whose family
Large and in charge. You're rock.
Okay, I say that as someone whose family comes from Harlem, as someone who spent a lot of time there growing up. That show definitely did Harlem justice, as in its history, as in where we would like it to go, and as portraying a black hero as what he is, because he's a hero. And he does what he needs to do for his people, but in a realistic way. But back to The Lion King, I think that with that, you have the Queen of Kachingwe or something like that. I'm probably saying that absolutely wrong. Birth of a Nation. A lot of these all black or majority black casting things are becoming big time now. And this would be an opportunity for Disney to really hop on this market and really like go with it and introduce some new stars, some new faces, and give people a chance and do the movie justice that it deserves. So that's my opinion on that. And in general, though, I do want to get back to Luke Cage. That show was just awesome from beginning to end. Netflix is killing it with these original series. They're just killing it. Marvel is killing it with these special Netflix series and little series. Even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came back and they brought in Ghost Rider, and I thought that was going to be absolutely horrible. And it's turning into a pretty good series so far. This fall season has been amazing so far. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit after we finish what's going on in the news. The other thing was I'd like to give a shout out to Chris Brown because like we all thought, that chick was straight lying. And he's about to get off on all these charges with the gun case that happened out in LA about a month or so ago. So yay to Chris Brown. I'm so happy for that because I don't know how he goes from getting custody of his child in a state that favors women in every way to then being charged with some sort of assault and throwing stuff at the cops and all this nonsense. Like, look, they were trying to get CB and they couldn't do it, so I'm just happy. I'm not the biggest Chris Brown fan, but in this particular case, I'm happy to see a black guy get off when he definitely was being set up. So, go Chris Brown. And then a couple other things that I thought were pretty interesting. We're going to have Trader Joe's coming to New York City 2018. So for those that live on the Lower East Side, hipsters across New York, I think that's going to be something you will all appreciate while you're in the Lower East Side and the Village and whatnot. And also, a funny research study, because I love these random research studies. A research study went around and pretty much went to, I believe it's like 10 different countries or whatnot to figure out what the level of sex education is and why things are happening in this and the third, and to get feedback on how sex ed is taught everywhere. And for the most part, it sounds like all across this globe, from this study, that sex ed doesn't teach people what they need to know, really. It pretty much just teaches them guy, girl, condom, sex ed. And the issue with that is that it goes under the assumption that this isn't already what a lot of teens are doing, that, a lot of people have already been sexually active, and it doesn't inform them on some of the other stuff that could happen once you are active. It doesn't inform them about different sexual orientations. It doesn't really go into the whole different genders thing. So a lot of the information that's taught is still from, 1800s, 1900s, like way back when, and isn't up to date. So a lot of people feel that it's not up to par, and that's probably why we have a lot of issues in it, let alone the number of places in schools where they don't want to teach sex ed because it's too provocative. So the study kind of just went in, and it just kind of pretty much showed that the lack of knowledge that's being taught and absorbed by the youth is pretty, like, globally insufficient. So it's not just a U.S. problem, thank God, but everywhere no one's really learning what they need to know, and no one's teaching what people need to know. So I thought that was just an interesting fact. It's one of the few things that, can be like, okay, it's not just us. But it's something that a lot of different places, especially here in the States, should look into, because we have the resources. Not a lot of other places do, but we have the resources to reform this part of the education system and standardize it in different places, because even that basic, here's a condom, use it, might actually be more effective in different places, because you're not going to stop kids from having sex. And whether they learn about it in school, television, music, or just the, hey, you have that, I have this, what happens if we put them together, which, nature takes its course. If you at least give them what they need to prevent stuff from happening, then, if they're active, and nothing goes past where it needs to go. So there's that. But we're going to go into a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to go and take a look at the start of the new fall season. It's not over yet, and it's not all started yet, but we're going to take a look. So, Danny, hit the music. We'll be back. Keep what?
Click the button, please, por favor.
He's still messing with the computer.
Sweet melody, and soul is flowing now, yeah, and nothing hold we down. When we dance on the street, do it sweet, let me see it, say everyone bow, yeah. When we dance on the street, everyone move your feet until it's sundown.
And so it's time to talk a little bit of what's going on in the world of television. So, as always going on, Luke Cage definitely gets a 5 out of 5. That show is just absolutely perfect. I spent the entire time going, I know this place, I know that place, I like that spot. Like, I was just a big kid watching that show. Everyone on that show killed it. Like, Rosario Dawson character is 10 times less annoying than she was on Daredevil. However, I'm now left constantly going to people, you want to grab some coffee? That's my new line. That's totally my new line. And I've yet to have some coffee since watching this show. Oh, snap. Dang. Danny can own a Dunkin' Donuts. It's a really great show. I love how they kind of give you Power Man, but they don't really give you Power Man, just a few quirks of it. Like, they don't just call him Power Man. He's Luke Cage the entire time. Like, and I love that. I love that about that new Netflix thing, that, like, no one's really going by that hero name yet. and it makes it that much cooler. Despite the fact it is a Marvel show, they can totally do it, but they're like, nah, this gives you that personal feel. So I think that's a great aspect. But that's not the only new show. They came out with a remakes of two shows or two movies or a series and a movie. But MacGyver came back. I watched the beginning of that. That was corny as hell. That gets a 2 out of 5, and it only gets a 2 out of 5 because there's two really awesome characters in it that go back and forth because they used to sleep together and they're both techie people. But as for the lead and his ex and the whole love story they're building into this super spy secret agency thing called Phoenix now, yeah, dude, totally lame. Like, might possibly be worse than the original MacGyver. Just saying. Dude, it's terrible. It's terrible. What? Then then there's Lethal Weapon, which I must admit, I give this show a 3.5 out of 5. And I do that because the mere fact they call it Lethal Weapon is bothering me. Because as a cop show, as like a quirky kind of cop drama thingy that they're going with, like Lethal Weapon, it's good. Even if they kept the same character names, which, you know, I don't know why you would if it's not named Lethal Weapon, but still, like, it still works. But to remake that movie with these guys, like, even the dynamics, the guy who's playing Mel Gibson's old character is completely over the top. Like, Mel Gibson was crazy, but this guy is beyond that. Like, look, we know the original guys were crazy because who the hell thinks that Mel Gibson and Danny Glover can fight Jet Li? Right? They had to lose their damn minds trying to attempt that, especially when you know he's out his mind wearing that damn blonde hair. But they went for it anyway. They go for it and whatever. But this guy who's playing Riggs is now totally lost his mind because, you know, his wife was killed with their baby and all that. And they give you the whole melodramatic thing, but it doesn't explain how crazy it is if this is supposed to be television Lethal Weapon. As an episodic drama cop show, it works, it's entertaining, you enjoy it. Damon Wayans gives a solid performance as, you know, the vet cop that's now acting like he's a young spry one, dealing with family life and having this new wild partner. Like, it works. So I will say watch it, but just for me, the mere fact that it's trying to be a television Lethal Weapon, the characters are not spot on and it falls. Oh, that added thing with the heart. No, that's part of Danny Glover's Lethal Weapon 3 and 4, the heart issue. Yeah. Not so early. Yeah, they're trying. But yeah, it's not working the way that it should. But I think that it's good enough that you should give it a watch. Another movie that's been adapted into a series, which I think is the biggest shocker for me how much I've been enjoying it, is Exorcist. I am completely surprised with how well this show has turned out. Considering you hear Exorcist as a TV show, I think I was probably joining every skeptic out there like, how can you make this into a weekly show? They've done a great job. There's a nice character development in all aspects, from main characters, side characters, things like that. I like seeing the familiar face from Spin City on the show as the father with dementia or amnesia or something of that sort. They haven't clearly explained that, but this show is surprisingly good, easily a 5 out of 5. I definitely think everyone should give the show a shot. Probably the best new series of the fall season that's actually on television, because Luke Cage is the best series from the fall season, hands down. I don't need to see what else comes out, and that includes the comeback of Flash, which premiered last night. Well, the first episode of a season on a show that's had multiple seasons is always going to be a setup episode. And last night's episode kind of sets up the themes for the rest of the season. It's, you know, that what happened after Barry goes back in time kind of thing. So it's going to have a slow start. The same thing that is happening with Quantico right now. Some people have already come to me like, I can't believe that it's like the season 1 but all over again. Look, people, when it comes to Quantico, it's all about the Secret Service, secret agency, stuff like that. So yeah, it's not going to be a brand new what's she going to be doing now. It's going to be what's she doing now in this organization. What's her new mission? That's going to be the theme of every season. So people who are disappointed that it seems like the first season, it's not going to be the same storyline at all, but it's going to be a mission-based season. It's what happens when you deal with Fed cop dramas. Even Law & Order, every episode was a different case. In her case, her season is the entire case. So now she's going to be trying to figure out what's up with these guys infiltrating the CIA as renegade CIA agents. Boom. Same thing happened, last season was the FBI, but it's all about the journey. You kind of have a feel for what's going to happen, but it's about the journey, how it gets there. It's a whodunit show, not a what was done show. So just remember that as you watch this season. I enjoyed the beginning episode, a lot of quirkiness. They had a spinoff at the end with the actress who was coming from, I believe she came from, what was that show on Channel 11 that got canceled? The Messengers. That show. So it's pretty good. It's pretty interesting. I definitely think you should continue watching Quantico. Lucifer also made a return from Fox last season. I gotta admit, I was watching Lucifer season 1. It was pretty good at first, and then it became too much about the romance, less about the whole he's Lucifer thing, and I fell off. But this season so far, with his mama drama, is making me feel like this is a comical version of Supernatural, and I'm digging it so far. So let's see how it starts. Last season started off good and went left. This season, I hope it goes good and stays good. But a couple other shockers for me that I'm surprised I enjoyed them as much as I did are Pitch, which gets a 4 out of 5. I think they're going way too hard with the whole, yes, she's a female in baseball, but they've spent 2 episodes really focused on 3 baseball games. And the team's mad because a woman's doing good and she's getting all the spotlight. And dude, okay, we got that episode 1. Episode 2, hopefully there's a little bit more. Nah, I mean, there's a really good storyline in there, which is why I would say give it a watch. The first episode definitely ended on a heavy twist that pulls on the heartstrings, but really gets across the point that how major it is, what it is she's doing, why she's doing it, and everything. So you get in episode 1, you probably get what could have been a season finale. And I think that's what makes this show so good, is that every episode there's so much more than what's going on in the current storyline. And even episode 2, there's a lot more, but it's about other characters. So I hope throughout the rest of the season, we develop a good understanding of everyone else who's major players in this story. But it gets past the whole everyone's upset there's a girl in the locker room, because that's just going to get boring after a while. But 4 out of 5 for Pitch. The Good Place, which has a return of the actress from Veronica Mars. And it's surprisingly quirky. It's quirky, funny, it's entertaining. There's a bit of a twist to it and all that. I think it is great. We get a return of Becker as well. He plays his role as Michael very well. And it's a nice feel-good show. It gets a 3.5 out of 5 because I don't really feel it's for everyone, but anyone who likes a good, clean, smart comedy that's actually funny. We're not talking smart Frasier, but we're talking more smart Cheers. You're going to love this show. It's an excellent show. It's very funny. Another new show, Insecure. I got to see the sneak peek of this series on HBO, and it's pretty much about this, 20-something going on 30 black female kind of trying to figure out her life. And the first episode doesn't really seem to have much of a point, really, because, what point is there to life? So you're just kind of following this girl along in some of her recent life issues where she's trying to figure out what she's going to do about her jobless boyfriend. And she's kind of, met up with her ex, and he's doing his thing, and, she's gaining feelings for him again. And her best friend is super successful, but she's not. And all this other stuff, and, how she's dealing with the world. Again, this is another show that I don't think is for everyone. And I feel like this is going to have a larger black audience. But this show's solid 3 out of 5. There are a lot of moments that you can laugh at, especially her song where she makes fun of her friend for not having sex for a while. That cracked me up. Seriously cracked me up. Because her friend was just sitting there talking to some guy and was just like, damn, that's about me. And the moment he heard that, he just kind of walked away. So I don't know. This is some good things. Another show I was hyped for, and I actually got to meet the one of the actors from the show a few weeks ago, was This Is Us. The ending of the first episode left me with a huge twist, but I'm enjoying seeing the development of these siblings and how everything goes back to their parents, and it's pretty entertaining. A lot of familiar faces on this show. Actor from Heroes, Mandy Moore, the guy who played Arrow on Smallville's on it. So give it a shot. It's a good drama. It's a 4 out of 5 show. It's just that sometimes the episodes feel long. And I say that for people who are going to be watching this not the day of airing, but on Hulu, on Put Locker, or whatever, the day after. The episodes do feel long, and that's the one thing about it that, it's only an hour show, but it feels like it's an hour and a half or 2 hours sometimes because there's so much to absorb. But there's a complicated issue with the birth father. You have an actor who's kind of going through that, what do I do with my career? Am I just typecasted for my looks or whatever? You have another character dealing with their weight issues, another character trying to figure out how to manage their alcoholism and their marriage at the same time. There's a lot going on, and it's happening very quickly as far as the pacing of each episode, but the episodes themselves just feel long. So if you watch it airtime, it's going to feel normal. You're going to have the commercial breaks, something like that. But if you're watching this on, your internet device afterwards, it's going to have a long feel to it. But it's a really good show. It's probably the only show that can properly replace Parenthood from NBC's lineup. And Parenthood was an excellent show from beginning to end. So 4 out of 5 stars, hands down. Another show that coming back is Scream Queens. I didn't know how they were going to do season 2, but it's funny as hell. I love the bad horror film. Like, it's a B movie in a TV show with A-class actors, and it works. And in this season, they're in a hospital, which I thought was epic because I kind of felt like they were starting to make fun out of American Horror Story with season 2. So I'm feeling it's still just another corny slasher idea, this or whatever. But if you didn't watch season 1, please watch season 2. If you watch season 1, please watch season 2. This is a 4.5 out of 5. It's just the only issue I have with this show is that, again, it's very repetitive as far as themes and whatever. Like, you can, I know it's supposed to be corny, but it's just it's a little too over the top at times. But it's entertaining the entire way through. So 4.5 out of 5. And Shameless is probably one of my favorite TV series out right now. Has been for years, and it's coming back very strong yet again. You don't know what to expect from this family. The British show has, I think, 10 seasons or so. Then you're on season 4 or 5 right now here in America. I hope it gets to 10. It's a great show, great drama. If you haven't watched it, check it out. Watch the old seasons, catch up to now. And the best part about it is that you don't have to watch the old seasons to understand what's going on now. So give it a look. Shameless is definitely where it's at. When we come back, we're going to finish up with some more TV fall review and a movie review, as well as the Instagram pick of the week. So, Danny, play us some jams. Continue with some more fall reviews. We have one new show added on to Sunday Animation Domination, and it's called Son of Zorn. It's pretty much this weird mix of live action and animation done with this guy who's pretty much a fake version of He-Man, trying to get back into his son's life after saving his country over and over again, but completely abandoning his family, and now they've moved on without him. So it isn't for everyone. This show, I have to give a 2 out of 5 because it's gonna have more people dislike it than like it. But for those of you who enjoy Adult Swim shows, this show is gonna be for you. If you enjoy the idea of like this guy who completely can't understand because he's this barbaric creature, like it's like putting Conan in 1996. Essentially, that is the idea of this show, putting Conan the Barbarian in 1996. So if that idea conceptually just sounds somewhat intriguing, give it a shot. But I find most people won't like this. I find it amusing because I enjoy that quirky kind of Adult Swim smart comedy that's not really that smart, but you get it, if that makes absolutely any sense at all to anyone. Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those shows. Bob's Burgers also back. I've never been a huge fan, but it has a massive appeal to a lot of people. I just find it to be way too corny. But I think that's what people like. People like how corny it is and how much the awkwardness of Tina Belcher by herself really holds down to most people, because they're just like, yeah, I went through that really awkward phase in high school too. So I love this show. So if you want to feel better about yourself, watch Bob's Burgers. It's a 3 out of 5 in my book, though, because it's just so damn corny. Like, that's the type of show that if someone said that show was made for white people, I wouldn't disagree. So, Bob's Burgers. The Simpsons is back. It's making its way to 600 episodes coming up, and it's not as strong as it was in the 90s, but it's as strong as it's been in the last 5 to 6 years. The last episode with Mr. Burns was pretty funny about why it is he's so mean and why he's afraid to be up on stage. And, but it's classic Simpsons comedy. So, it's a solid 3 out of 5. It hasn't gotten any worse than it has been the last 5 years, but it's not the 90s Simpsons, which was an absolutely perfect show for its level of social commentary. Family Guy's also made its return, and it's this last episode with Chris Griffin working for Quagmire was excellent. So I'm going to be giving this new season of Family Guy so far 4 out of 5, just because it still has those really long 80s jokes, and I'm a 90s baby. So Seth MacFarlane, I get it. You were born in, you lived through the 80s, but your audience is definitely not that old. So just dumb it down just a little bit. I don't want to have to Google the jokes anymore. And I've been enjoying, but still hating on South Park. South Park to me has always been a great show because of the social commentary that it does. Like, I mean, something happens on a Tuesday and it's on that Wednesday episode and you're wondering, how did they animate it, right? That's always been the best part to, Matt Stone and Trey Parker and all that they do. But the best part about it is that no episode really coincided with anything else. Maybe now and again they make references to random times in past episodes, but nothing was ever connected. And these last 2 seasons of South Park for me, where they have these, like, now it's an episodic season where every episode is connected into this larger theme. Like, this season's even connected to last season. Guys, it loses the charm of South Park. The same way that The Simpsons has never really done that is what you guys need to do. So for that reason alone, this is a 4 out of 5. Still smart comedy, still classic South Park. You're not losing anything except for that appeal, because the randomness isn't supposed to come together. And that's what makes South Park great, is like, how is everyone so oblivious to some of these things? But now everyone's aware of everything going on, and it kind of kills some of the charm in the series. So 4 out of 5 for South Park. Danny, you have up the Instagram pick of the week? Okay, so our Instagram pick of the week is, I think, Hood Funny, and it's from The Hood's Finest on Instagram. I've been following these guys for a while, and I wanted to throw something of theirs up. So it says, yo, that's the same chick I used to smash about 8 months ago. And she turns around and shows her belly. So this guy is going to be someone that's going to be on Maury next week. But I just thought that was something really funny I wanted to throw out there. Last show I really wanted to talk about is Superstore. And I feel that this is a show that a lot of people have been sleeping on. It's on NBC. It's a show pretty much about, like making fun out of your Walmarts, your Kmarts, or your everyday variety Superstore. And America Ferrera from Ugly Betty is the lead actress on this. A couple of other familiar faces you'll see throughout the show. A lot of new faces. It's a great quirky cast. It's a really smart comedy. A lot of dumb, like it's just as smart as it is, there's a lot of dumb physical comedy in it. And it's one of those shows that NBC popped up out of nowhere, like the Carmichael Show, where no one expected how good it could be. So I give this show a 5 out of 5, the last 5 out of 5 out of this fall season. There are a couple other shows you can talk about, like Blackish, Blind Spot, Gotham's back too, and Gotham is doing exactly what it's always done. Solid 4 show, Blind Spot, solid 3 show, Blackish, solid 4 show, but I really want to point out Superstore because I feel a lot of people haven't been watching this. I've talked to a lot of people. No one seems to be seeing it, but it has enough ratings that NBC brought it back. So where are you guys at? There should be more chatter. There should be more people watching this. It's a really good comedy. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, whatever. You're going to enjoy this show. It's stupid. It's smart. It's everything you want in a good primetime television show. So guys, check it out. Superstore, NBC definitely has my pick for a must-watch this fall season and every season that this show is on. Now, the movie I went to go see this week was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiars. It's a book adaptation done by Tim Burton, and as we know, he loves the quirky, he loves the dark. You get a lot of familiar faces in this from Tim Burton movies, as well as Sam J, because that man is just in every movie. If you need one black guy in a movie, call Samuel L. Jackson. And I have to give this movie a 4 out of 5. I was surprised by how much I liked it because of how bad the start was. The start has a lot going on, back and forth through time, storytelling, real time, and yet with all this going on, the first 30 minutes of this movie feels like 2 hours in and of itself. So slow, so dull. Everything that you see in the previews and from the commercials, the movie previews and everything, that's like literally from the 45-minute marker onward, and not even all the way to the end, because like the last 25 minutes of this movie, I saw no scenes in any trailer for this movie, which I thoroughly appreciated, because sometimes the trailers just give you way too much, just way too much. But this movie, solid 4 out of 5. If it wasn't for that first half hour, I would give it a 5 out of 5. Despite even the British accents, they didn't seem to bother me during this. But this movie was excellent. You got a really deep storyline going on. The different powers that the children have are pretty interesting. Even the whole like why the villains are the villains, the whole like backstory for the bad guys and how it affects them now, and the whole explanation of loops and stuff like that. It was just a really good, intricate story that they adapted and actually fit a lot of key points from the book into the movie. I know that every time that there's a movie made from a book, a lot of people are disappointed because it's missing this part and missing this part. But in and of itself, if you've never read the book, if you have read the book, I think you can enjoy this movie because it takes a lot of the best parts. It leaves you with the ability to tell more. It even leaves you with some stuff where like they can even do a second part explaining the last 5 minutes of the movie, even, because there's a lot that happens in the last 5 minutes of this movie. And yet they kind of just like, so this happened, this doesn't, this happened, but this is the ending. And it feels complete, but still leaves you wondering, like, oh, I want to know more about this and more about that and da-da-da. And it's just a really, really good story. So anyone, this is a family movie, this is a date movie, this is just a good movie that anyone can watch. So Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiars is excellent, excellent, excellent. But I also watched this new thing that's on Netflix. I was on my Luke Cage flow. They said, oh, new Netflix original besides Luke Cage. I was like, all right, Netflix, you made me happy with the 13 episodes of goodness. I'll watch something else that you had. And I go and I watch Arq. A-R-Q, though. I don't know why the Q. And this movie, again, starts off really boring. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, why did I trust you, Netflix? I should always go with my gut. Trust Marvel, not Netflix. And then out of nowhere, I realized to myself, wait a second, that guy is from one of the best shows to ever come on CW that got canceled for no reason. Let me watch this. So I'm watching this show to give it a shot, and I'm watching the rest of this thing, and it gets better and better and better and better all the way through. Like, even the very ending kind of left you like, what the? And you're just blown away. But then it hits you one last time with the, oh yeah, so this is how the movie started. And boom, kind of kills everything that was going right with the movie. And then you're still left wondering, I kind of like that though. Maybe they can make a part 2. So I have to give this movie a 3.5 out of 5 because it just took me on an emotional roller coaster the entire way through. It's an action thriller that's set in a time loop. So they're reliving their day over and over again, and it changes each time, but there are a lot of different things that happen along the way that makes each day so particularly different and yet the same. So if you're looking for something to watch when there's nothing else to watch, if you're on Netflix looking, perusing what to go for, definitely give Arq a watch, because I want to get your review on this movie, because it left me not knowing what the heck to say about it. But I can say for about 95% of this movie, I enjoyed it. It's just the beginning was slow, and the ending just kind of left me like, wait a second. Like, can we get a part 2? Can somebody finish the rest of the story for me? Because it feels so undone, but it still leaves you wanting more. And on that note, that's been today's Will's Review. We're going to come back next week with a special episode. And remember, this weekend's Comic-Con, people. So If you're around the Jacob Javits Center, take a lot of photos, hashtag Will Reviews, and hashtag Will Reviews, and show me what it is you find at Comic-Con this weekend. All right, I'm your host, Will D. Thank you for watching. Danny, take us out. We'll see you next week.